Hey guys, welcome to the Bandemic podcast brought to you by Kinsman. My name is Ray Bada. I'm your host, and tonight we have a real treat. We have audiophile, guitar player, live sound engineer, Mr. Mike Pena. Mike has done some amazing things with some amazing artists, and to boot, he's an amazing guitarist. Lots of stories, lots of information, and of course, lots of gear. Stick around, it's going to be a great show. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Mike Pena. What's up, Mike?
What's up, guys?
How's it going, man?
Good, man. Good.
Awesome. Dude, I love your background. I just want everybody to take that in for a second. What are we looking at one more time?
I had to do this from Studio 3 at Abbey Road.
Man,
So, yeah.
that is amazing. Well, man, let's get started. Can you start us out by telling just a little bit about how you got into music in general, and then we'll focus a little bit more on your specialties. But just how did music come into your life?
Okay. So, you know what, man? Like, nobody's really I've never really taken this question back that far.
Okay.
So, this is cool. I'll try to make it short. So, when I was like, 5, 6 years old, whatever, little, my parents, would always want to go to the dances, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like all about the baile, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. So instead of getting a babysitter, because my grandmother was like, you leave him with me or you leave him with nobody. And my mom was like, if she couldn't find someone, it was like, okay, I'm not going to leave him, okay, we can't do it. So they would just take me with them.
Nice.
So here I am, 5, 6, going to these dances at, these dance halls, and it was Tejano. I mean, this was Tejano dances. That's what they liked.
Yes.
So that was the first. And my cousin is, I don't know, some may know him, some may not. My cousin's David Mattis,
Okay.
who is back in the day was a lead vocalist in a band called the Royal Jesters out of San Antonio, which was a big Tejano band.
Nice.
He went solo, and he had actually a very, very good, very big solo career in Tejano music. Kind of was before the Jay Lopez and those guys, the Jay,
Okay.
all those guys. Yeah, it was kind of before that time.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I just remember going and watching this band, and just the instrumentation, man. They had horns. They were doing which I didn't know at the time, but they were doing like four-part harmonies.
Nice.
And just I was amazed at. They had congas and they had drums and guitars and the whole thing, and I would just sit at the stage, man, with just like this and just watch. And my parents were cool because they were just dancing. They could come around the front of the stage and see me there, and know I was okay.
Yeah.
And that was my first, I was really into that stuff, and then like the Latin music stuff, because they would take me to see some other bands, and so that was really where and then I got turned on to Kiss and.
Nice. So you were saturated from a young age. You were just surrounded by music.
Yeah. No,
Nice.
it was because of that. I mean, I just loved it, man. It was the coolest thing. I would come home and pretend, with the broomstick. You know what I mean? Like I was. Yeah, it goes
Nice.
way. This was years ago, man.
So was guitar your first instrument, or did you pick up something first and then migrate to guitar? Or
Yeah, guitar. I always loved what the sounds of keyboard players were getting.
yes.
But it was just, I don't know, there was something about when I would grab a broomstick and play. It wasn't anything that looked cool that could play piano on it. Yeah. So
Nice. So tell us about your first guitar. What was your first guitar that kind of opened the doors?
so I had, man, this was just some cheap nylon string piece of wood that like my grandfather or somebody bought in Mexico somewhere,
Nice.
and I played on that until I could made sounds and stuff. And actually it was cool. My dad went and he said, let's get you a real guitar. And so he bought me a Fender Lead 2,
Nice.
which I heard they're making again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they had quit for years and years and years, and I don't have that guitar anymore. I don't know what ever happened to it, but
Oh,
it was a Fender Lead 2. It was cool. Yeah.
nice. So who were you listening to, say in like high school? Were you in band, or where did your musical journey
Uh,
start?
I wasn't in band. The counselor in high school tried to get me in band, and I said, well, do you have guitar? She said no, but you could play like something else. I was like, no, I want to play guitar. So I didn't do that, but yeah, high school, man, was, I mean, that was 80s. I was listening to, you know, I mean, U2. I was
Yes.
listening to Police. I was listening to, but at the same time, I was listening to, you know, like Journey, and
Nice.
and and in the 70s, I hung around a lot. I mean, I kind of grew up with my uncle, who was a big. He just loved music. He didn't play anything, but he just always had the radio on. So that was, bands like, I mean, man, Chicago.
Yes. Nice.
Bands like that, Zeppelin, all that stuff too. He listened to Beatles. My dad was a big Beatles fan, and so he would drop a Beatles record on the turntable, and so I'd listen to that stuff. But in high school, it was 80s, man, and I was into the newer wave stuff too, because I got into those kind of band, like the U2s and the Flock of Seagulls stuff,
Yeah.
the Cure, the Cult, I mean, yeah,
Yeah. So did you play in bands in high school, or did that start after high
yeah,
school?
yeah. Actually, yeah, I was like, I would say first, like legit band where we actually did a gig and played was, I was probably like 13, 14.
Wow, that's amazing.
About 13, 14. In fact, I was 14 years old and got in a group with three other guys. And we actually did the very first battle of the bands that they ever had in Corpus.
Whoa, that's amazing.
C101 did it at Carroll High School in the gym.
What?
Yeah. And you had to submit a demo tape, and they picked, I guess, 4 or 5 bands or something like that. And everybody had a 20-minute set and 10 minutes to break down, set up the next band and play. And
Man, that's amazing.
yeah, I was 14 years old. I don't know, I was just cool. Like, let's go play. We did, and we actually won.
Nice.
Yeah,
And that makes it even better.
yeah, and I mean, C101, that's the station in town, right? So we
Yeah.
won. But like, they just start throwing all these gigs at us, like open for this band, play here, play at this club, play at that place. And so I was like 14, 15 years old. My dad had to take me into the club because I wasn't old enough. You know,
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, in high school, yeah, that was pretty much it, man. I got together with some guys. They were a little older,
Yeah.
but yeah, I all through high school played in, played in bands and did gigs. Back in the day, the game room scene was really big around here.
Okay, okay.
And so we did a ton of game rooms that would open like their grand openings, and we would play like every 2-3 weeks and on a Friday night at one of these game rooms. And
Nice.
yeah, it was cool.
So, do you remember any of the like Center Theater or the Memorial Coliseum?
Yeah, yeah,
What was it like playing at
yeah.
those? Because those places are huge, and I
Yeah.
can't imagine being a kid and showing up and playing.
The
You know,
Memorial Coliseum was it was huge to me at that. I mean, it was like, what? And we did a couple of like school like proms, or things like that. We did some quinceañera stuff. We did some bigger wedding things. Some couple of like, I remember doing, back then we had Paul York Toyota.
nice. Yes, I remember them.
We did their big corporate thing that was held there, and so yeah, you would get on that stage and you're like, it was like, what,
Yes, man.
because I'd gone. I mean, I saw concerts there.
Yeah,
I'm like, here we are with our gear, in the trailer or whatever. But I'm used to seeing it with all this stuff, and PA stacked on the sides and the whole deal. So it was kind of overwhelming, but it was cool to go like, yeah, I played on that stage too, man.
dude, that is amazing. What's your favorite concert from that stage? Just curious,
Oh,
because I know some big people played that venue.
from the Memorial, man, it had to be, um, man, there's a couple. I mean, I saw Van Halen there,
Oh,
early, like right, like before the Van Halen 2 record, like early, the first record.
nice.
Um, but man, I saw Journey there,
Ooh, yes.
back in that day. I got to see AC/DC, The Highway to Hell. I got to see Bon Scott there. Uh,
That's amazing.
that's the loudest concert I've ever been to in my life. That was the
Wow.
loudest show ever. Like 3-4 days, my ears rang. At one point, I remember sitting there going, I couldn't even make out what was happening. It was just noise. It
That's
was
insane.
it was so loud, but that was a killer one. I got to see Iron Maiden there, open for Judas Priest. When Eddie, the mascot, was just a roadie with a Eddie mask on,
That's amazing.
like the kind you buy, at Party City or whatever.
Yeah.
just this skeleton looking guy with hair, and a big roadie guy comes out and just pumped up the the crowd and stuff. And then
That's
he walked
amazing.
out, and now look where they are.
Yeah, man, that is amazing. So, when did music become? Do you remember the point where it was just like, I think I want to do this, like
Oh
in
yeah,
some aspect for real? When was that?
yeah. No, I was playing football. I was going to go play football. I was going to go to college. I was going to play ball. We were looking at all these colleges to do stuff, and I saw Van Halen, and I saw Eddie play Eruption, and it was all over.
That is amazing.
That was it.
So,
I came home and told my dad. I said, I want a guitar. I want to paint a guitar. I want to stripe it like that with the yellow and the black and the whole deal.
yeah,
And I was like, I don't want to play football. I want to play guitar. I just want to practice. I want to get like that guy. I want to be the guy. And but I was like, nah, I don't know. Like, we'll buy you guitars, but let's keep the thing. I was like, no, I didn't. I had no desire anymore to walk ever onto the practice field. It was just like that was it, man. I saw that. I was like, I'm done.
wow.
Yeah.
It- that's amazing, dude. That
I,
is
I
super amazing.
probably, I probably should have gone the other route.
Well, man, your fingers probably wouldn't have been non-existent by now playing football for all that time.
Like later on in life, I'm thinking, that was probably not the best choice I made there. I probably should have followed on, but oh well.
Okay, so that was high school. Like, did
Speaking
you?
of, speaking of, there it is.
Yes,
I got, I got,
yes,
I got this thing in my the throat, man, allergy. So I'm drinking tea, and
yeah. They just blew in today. From the, I noticed that when I came in, I was like, "Oh man, something blew in today." You know what I mean? So I'm with you.
yeah,
So did you study in college, or did you go straight to I'm going to be a professional musician?
yeah. I didn't go. That's a thing that also kind of blows people away sometimes. I didn't study any music. Like I can't read a lick. If you put the sheet music in front of me, it's done. I mean,
Wow.
I don't
So
know any of that. I don't know how to read it. Definitely don't know how to write it. Um, and I know basic stuff, but if you start talking too much technical theory kind of thing, I'm lost. I'm just like, wait, play it. Let me hear it. Show me. And it's all pretty much by ear and then
nice.
and watching. I had a guy tell me one time, if you want to learn that, watch him do it and put the two together. See what his fingers did when he did, and then hear what you're and put them together, and you're cool. And now again, another bad decision. I wish I would have taken.
Man,
You know,
I don't know, dude. You're at a pretty high level for being ear training only. My
because I don't know any of that. So like if you change up a key on me or even the Nashville stuff, and people go, yeah, 145. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? What? I don't know. This feels stupid, but I don't know what that stuff is.
So when you were learning those songs when you were a kid, what was it on? Because was it on tape?
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah, yeah. It was cassettes.
nice.
I mean, play it, rewind it, play it.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and always trying to figure out how can I put something on it to slow it down just a little, like put your finger on the little deal or something to make it. Yeah. So, or if we had vinyl, which my dad bought me a lot of vinyl, if we had that, I would try to record it onto a cassette so that I could
Yeah,
play and rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind. Yeah. So that's how I did it though, man. I just to
man.
try to figure it out. Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. So you start with Van Halen. As you progressed as a musician, where did you go from there? Where Van Halen opened the door
Yeah.
wide open, obviously, and where did you go from Van Halen?
Um, I mean, like I said, I was really into the '80s stuff, but in fact, I even got into. I mean, I was even into just like Depeche Mode. I got into
Yes.
the synthy kind of stuff too. I mean, it was us, and not all the synth stuff, because some of it I was like, that's cheesy, man. But they were cool. I got, so I did that, and I played that stuff for years through the '80s, through the you know early '90s, even doing that
Nice.
stuff, just kind of playing around everywhere in clubs and stuff with the band. Um, and a buddy of mine told me, well, he was playing in a country band, a dance hall band.
Nice.
Yeah, and he said we had played before in bands, but now he was doing this other thing. And so we were off one night. He said, "Yeah, come check us out." So I drove with him to their gig out in the sticks in the middle of It was somewhere between Austin and College Station, somewhere out there. And
Okay.
at the end of the night, man, um, they all sat around a table there in the dance hall, and they had a briefcase full of money. It was just cash, and they were just, counting it out and handing out stacks of it to the guys. And
Wow.
and granted, this is a dance hall in the middle of nowhere, where the population of the place is like 650 people or something, like Dime Box, Texas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
650 people. And this was a Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it was. And there was like 2,000 kids in this dance hall that had all paid $5 to get in the door.
That's crazy.
And they were taking home 80% of that. So
Nice.
they divvied it up, get paid. And on the way home, I was like, cool, man. So you guys get paid on, at the weekend, on Fridays or on Saturdays, whatever. And he was like, uh, well, no, that was just for tonight, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what? And he said, yeah. And he goes, dude, um, I make 3 times the money you're making. He goes, and we're still cover bands, I mean, I was
Yeah.
cover band, he was playing. He goes, we probably make 3 times the money you're making. He goes, and I probably play 3 times less than you're playing in a week.
Wow.
And I was like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is all they were doing. Here I was killing it, trying to play 6 days a week. And we were doing that, but we were making less money. He told me that, and I was like, what? So I went to check out another gig of theirs.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I could do that. I mean, it looks pretty cool. And he said, yeah, man, try it out, and so I started listening and started getting into it. And then I ended up in the country thing because it just looked cool. I mean, it was
Nice.
I mean, I was playing to make money. I didn't want to deliver pizzas
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like some guys were, so, and in Austin, that was a big thing back then. It was like, you're a cover band. You're lame. You're a cover band. We are musicians. We write our own stuff. We play our own original music. And I'm like, yeah, but you deliver pizzas during the day. All I do is play and get paid. And, and I'm always like, and it's a Saturday night and you're out here razzing me on a Saturday night about how you play your originals. How come you're not gigging? I
Yeah.
am, you're,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
there was this thing in Austin about that. People, they didn't like each other. But yeah, so I jumped into that because it was country and it was fun. I learned a whole new vibe, a whole new kind of style. You know what I mean? It was cool. And yeah, he was right. The money was 3 times as good, and it was way less work.
That's amazing.
Uh,
So you said you're in Austin. How do you get to Austin?
out of high school, as soon as we were done with high school, it was like we took the band, we going to Austin. We kept hearing that, like, there was a club here in town, and you couldn't play in this club unless you were from Austin.
Oh,
They
wow.
they only hired out of town bands. You wouldn't hire anybody local. But the funny thing is that we took the band, we moved it to Austin, we changed our promo picture. And now we were the same band from Austin, Texas, and we got hired at this place right away. It was just this thing that we don't hire local. It's like, oh well, okay. So yeah, we moved there, and but we had just heard, like, if you want to do this and play regular all the time, and then there's a guy out there as a management company. He signs you up. He takes 5% of your, but he keeps you booked, and you're booked all the time. And
Nice.
you just do this circuit. So we went up there. We hooked up with him, and that's exactly what happened. So we were just playing, 6, sometimes 7 nights. Sometimes we would play sometimes like 15, 16 nights in a row.
Wow.
Just 3 nights at one place, 2 nights at another, 3 nights here, and or sometimes you go to a club like in Dallas, you play with a whole week, and they just booked a band a week at a time, and then so it was a circuit that we were on, playing all over the place, and so that was that's how I got there, and then in Austin I made a lot of more connections that kind of took things to a another level.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So what were the sets like? Were they just 9 to 2 straight, or were they 3 hour sets?
Yeah, you would do like 4 45s,
Oh, okay, okay,
or 3 1 hours with a half-hour break in there, 9 to 2 or 8 to whatever,
okay. I
yeah.
was curious about that. One of our previous guests, he was doing music in another part of the U.S. and he was like, it's 9 to 1, but it's straight. And he was
Mhm.
like, you just hope that the bass player can sing a song or have the band vibe for a little while so you can take a break, but it's straight. And I was
Oh
like, wow.
no, no, we took breaks. You had a 15 or you did a 30, depending on how you broke up the sets.
Nice.
You were still doing, man, like, 40 songs a night though,
That's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
And then when I went to the country, the dance hall scene was a little different because you kind of did your own time kind of thing. You were
Okay.
still 9 to 1 or, most of the time, but we would typically start a little later to let everybody drag in, start a little bit later. And then we would do like maybe 2 hour to 15 or hour and 30-minute sets.
Okay. Okay.
Take one break in the middle of that. And then, so when we start, we would play, it would fill up. You take that one short break. And when you came back for your second set, the place was packed up
Nice.
until the end, and yeah, it's crazy how that many people show up in a dance hall. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
blow me away. It was just like a sea of people all the time.
Yeah.
And same kids, you play one place, you would play the next night 30 miles or 60 miles down the road out there in the sticks somewhere at another VFW hall or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And the same people would show up with, maybe a few more from the other area, but it was always like the same crowd that just kind of followed you around, and
Nice.
they don't have anything to do out there, man.
It's like a Grateful Dead, like just traveling,
Oh,
just
yeah.
follow the man.
They have nothing to do out there, and that's their thing and during football season, Friday nights, we wouldn't start till maybe 11,
Oh yeah, waiting for people to get
yeah,
out.
games would be over, and then they'd all go like, oh yeah, we're going to the the dance and whatever, and yes, we wait till play, and we only play like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hour set, and we were done. Still made
Nice.
still made the same money.
That's amazing. So what were you playing back then? Were you playing a Tele? Were you playing a Strat? What was your go-to?
You know what? I played telly. I was playing telly even in the 80s in those other clubs and doing the top 40 stuff and rock and newer wave, so whatever. I had a Strat and a telly. I played the telly a lot. Even
Nice.
then, and people would tell me, they were like, dude, why you play that? That's a country guitar. And I was like, no, it's not. I like the shape. I used to tell people, man, I was playing a telly before. Like now, tellies are cool or they're hip.
Yes, Teles are cool.
I was like, I was playing a telly way before it was cool, and people made fun of me. They gave me a hard time about it, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
the telly, that's like my favorite. I mean, that's what I've been playing for years.
so who got you turned on to who was it that you saw that you're like, because we all follow our heroes, right?
Yeah, you know what? With the telly, I don't know what it was. I don't even remember if it was a certain player.
Okay.
I just remember being in a music store, man, and going like, that guitar, that just looks cool. This big hunk of wood,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
just, I don't know. And I put it on, man, and I just felt like, man, I love the way this just feels right here. And,
Nice.
and and that's coming from, like after that Fender Lead 2, my dad stepped up, he bought me a Strat, and
Nice.
so, and then I had another Strat. And when I just, look at that telly, man, I was like, I don't know. And then I got another, and then I was just looking for tellies everywhere I could go.
That's amazing. Do you remember what amp you were playing? I'm curious.
Um, so yeah, I had it was a 50-watt Marshall JCM 800
Nice.
combo, a 212 combo. I played for most all that stuff until I found this Vox my treasured Vox that, it's a classic. It's mint. It's, 68, 60 gas. Yeah.
Whoa.
And,
Nice.
and I found it. It was a steal. I found it at an estate sale. And I totally ripped the lady off. It's really bad. I feel so bad now, but not at the time.
That's amazing.
But
Do
yeah,
you
the
still have
Marshall.
your Vox?
I still have that one. Yeah,
What?
it's in a case. I use it. I played it but it sat, in the tray. I would just pull
Nice.
it off. We'd play. I'd just close it up. So the last time I took it to the big show in Dallas and had it appraised, which was, man, that's probably been almost man, maybe 10 years, maybe now. This was the last time I took it. The guy there, he appraised it for like 12 grand,
Oh my God. That
and
is amazing.
he's like, you want to get rid of that? I was like, no, I just wanted to know how much. It's coming home with me. I'm not getting. Yeah. But
That's
it's an old. I had to change the plug on it because it was still European power.
yeah.
It was. I went to a estate sale. It belonged to an old man. He had passed away. The wife, his wife was. It was sitting in a corner when I saw it, and I asked her, what are you selling that? And she was like, oh, that old radio, I don't know. She said, I mean, it doesn't work. And I was like, what's wrong with it? And she said, I don't know. My husband used to, get sounds out of it and stuff, but I turned it on and turned some knobs. I couldn't get any stations. I couldn't get
Oh
anything.
my gosh.
And my line was, well, I collect old radios. And, I could probably fix it up. I mean, so I bought that amp. This is no lie. I bought that amp for $150 from that
Oh
lady.
my gosh. Is it
And
AC30 or AC15?
it's an AC30.
Oh, that's amazing.
An AC30. It's top boost. It's got the silver bell. I mean, Alnico. They're bulldogs, but they're the silver bell. The only thing, he was stationed overseas, and he bought it over there, and he brought it back to the States with him. So it still had the European power, the plug on it that I had to have changed to. But
that's amazing.
other than that, there's nothing wrong with it. Then there's still there's not a mark on it. Now it just stays in the case, and because I don't play out anymore. I don't do anything like that. So
that is unbelievable, man. That's a great story.
It's cool. I mean, afterwards, I felt bad. I was like, well, I mean, it was years later. I was like, man, I really did that lady wrong. But she asked me, she goes, well, what do you think it's worth? I mean, it doesn't work, And I was like, well, she goes, I did turn it on. She goes, I turned some knobs. It made some static. It crackled some stuff, And she was old, and she thought it was a radio. And
well, God bless that old lady for helping you out.
That's my cool find. I've never found anything else so cool ever. But
oh man,
yeah. So I still have that. And then I mean, I've tried amps ever since. I mean, all kinds of different amps. I still kind of gravitate towards that kind of Marshally thing. I love the Blues Breaker. I have an old Blues Breaker.
Nice.
The Blues Breaker and the AC30 in stereo is unbelievable.
Oh man, I can imagine.
If you're into that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I'm quite into it. Well, so we're here. We're talking about guitar. How did you get into sound and recording? What was that story like?
Yeah, that is. I've always been. I just always. It was like how. Just when I would see somebody play, like the Eddie Van Halen thing, it's like, how did he make the guitar? How does he get it to sound like that? I'd listen to records. I'd listen to them and be like, man, how do they get the drums to sound like that? How do they? And I just, one of my bands, we would rehearse in my parents' garage. Our singer had a small little PA, a little mixer, a couple of mics.
Nice.
Yeah. And one day I was just like, you know what? I go to these shows. I see mics on drums. Like, I'm going to mic this kit in the garage. I'm going to mic this kit, and we're going to play. I'm going to go over. I'm going to tweak it to make it sound like that show or that record or whatever it was, and I just started turning knobs, man. I was so into just how things sound and how they get that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at home, I mean, 4-tracks, the old cassette 4-tracks.
Yes.
Got one of those, just like, let's start writing songs, and recording guitars and trying to get them to sound cool and trying to get a vocal to sound cool. I mean, it was just, it kind of snowballed. I was like, I'd really love this stuff. I went and I kind of went and poked around to some studios in Austin.
Yeah.
Later on, and they let me, one guy said, yeah, man, come check it out anytime. So I'd go and hang out with him and see what he was doing and got to turn some knobs and eventually did some demos.
Nice.
For some bands there that did little four song demos that they were doing at the time. You would do a 4-song demo on a cassette, give it to everybody and try to get a gig. So I would do those. But in Austin, Austin used to be really cool for place, man. I don't know what's happened now, but
all sorts of stuff is happening.
It used to be cool. And guys would, you could get a showcase. I mean, because there was always record people wandering around looking for, acts to sign and stuff. It was, so yeah. So these bands would come in and record a demo. They would land a showcase, and then they would come back and go, hey man, like, we got this showcase. You did our demo. You kind of know the songs, our sound, our band. Like, could you come mix live for the showcase? We really wanted to do something like that. And I was like, yeah, I guess I could. I mean, sure, let's go for it. So I got into that, and I was digging live sound because I was like, oh man, this is on the fly. You get one pass here,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you don't get to say, wait, stop, go back. So that was cool. I got into that. It was that rush, that energy of that trying to make it sound good live.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, in Austin, there was always work. So I had a guy tell me one time, if you want to really make a living doing music and you don't want to deliver pizzas and stuff like that, he said two things. He goes, you need to learn how to play another instrument. He goes, so that you're versatile. So
Yeah.
whatever it is, man, bass or keys or whatever, learn something else so you can always find a gig. He said, or he goes, if you can learn to do sound, he goes, and you can be a good sound engineer. He said, you can work every night of the week and you can name your price.
Nice.
He said, good engineers are hard to find and someone's always looking for one. And if you're that guy, he said, you can literally, and I was like, well, I love doing that. So
Yeah.
I kind of dug in, and I got to a point in the cover scene before I went to the country stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I got a little burnt
Okay, okay.
on just the same stuff because we were playing so much. It was years though, but I got eventually. I was like, I caught myself one time playing a spring break at a club, and we went through the whole first set, and I don't even remember it. It was on autopilot the whole time. I watched surfing flicks on the screens in the club while we blew through this first set. And that's when I was like, man, I'm done. Like this was and so in that time, that break in between there is when I dove into sound and just started going and doing sound gigs and was loving it because I didn't have to learn the songs. I didn't have to stand. I just made, it was, and yeah, so that's when I really, really dug into it there, and started doing that stuff. And so that was cool, but it started with some studio stuff and then went live.
Nice. So when you're doing the live stuff, who are some people that you're like, I really liked working with them, or did anybody stick out in a way that you're like, man, I really love doing this for this artist?
Yeah, I went. Um, there was a couple of they were like regional acts
Okay.
um, that were around that I got to work with. That's kind of was the jumping point up to like the national or the touring stuff that I got and I did that for a few years. But those were the cool because those were the bigger shows, bigger PAs, like real big boy stuff.
Yeah.
They were flying stuff up in the air, and
Nice.
I was like, oh, okay, this is it's cool. Bigger consoles, whole lot of comms back and forth with the guy on stage, and the whole deal was legit. But some of those, like there was there was Joe Ely. I don't know if you ever heard of Joe Ely.
Yes, yes, of
So,
course.
well, Joe Ely, that's where David Grisham came from.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and that's where I met David. But Joe Ely, there was a couple of acts that were like they were kind of like show bands.
Okay.
There was one called Vince Vance and the Valiants, and
Nice.
they were kind of B-52 ish,
Nice.
dressed up like that, and the big beehive hairdos, and he had this giant pointy thing that would stick up in his hair, and he would smash it down, let it go, and it bounce back up like a spring. But they did little costume changes and things. There was a theme to the
Yeah.
and so it was one like that. And there was one called Johnny D and the Rocket 88s.
Do I remember those guys? Yeah.
Yeah, they were like more of a doo-woppy 50s ish kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So those are a little bit bigger shows. They got bigger bands. They get paid bigger money. They did some bigger stuff. That was cool, and that kind of where I met some other people by doing opening. And in Austin, when I was there, we did some festival work where I met some other guys, and that's where you're like, hey man, here's my card or here's my resume kind of thing, and you try
Yeah.
to schmooze a little bit, and yeah, and so that kind of takes you up to the so I got lucky with some knowing a guy here and there that got me into that level.
Nice.
But those were all fun gigs. I didn't really dig the music too much.
Uh,
I mean, I was a huge fan of Grissom.
yeah.
I wasn't a fan of Joe Ely. He's a great songwriter. He's a great storyteller,
Yeah.
and people love him. He's nothing. It just wasn't my thing. But just watching what David would do on a guitar, I was like, oh, man, that's so good.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
treat. That's definitely a treat. So when did when did um when did you walk out into a venue and say, "Oh man, this is this is." Did you ever get that feeling where it was like, "Oh man, this is a lot"? Because you mentioned, "Oh, I got to the big stage eventually." And when did that? What was that like? And what? If you can talk about some of the differences between like, okay, we're here, and now I'm here. Like, what's that transition like?
Yeah, it's so through a buddy of mine that back in the dance hall days, he was our lighting guy. He When that kind of died down, he took off. He didn't That's all he knew how to do. He was an amazing lighting, an LD. He was a great stage guy, production guy, lighting guy. He took off, went to Nashville,
Nice,
and he was so good. I mean, he in the 90s, the heydays of NSYNC, he was their lighting guy.
nice,
And then when that died, the boy band thing, and that kind of all went down and crashed. He got hooked up with like Tim McGraw, Faith Hill.
nice.
He did some country bands, like the Diamond Rios and then
Yes.
some of those kind of bands like that. So he kept saying, "Hey man, you got to come up here, dude. There's musicians everywhere, but also sound. Like good sound guys. Like and I was like, yeah, I don't know. But he got called when they put on the first big 98, the Shania Twain World Tour. First, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill weren't playing so much anymore. The NSYNC thing was gone. He didn't know what he was going to do. He got that call, and they said they kind of put him in charge of putting together, a whole team.
Yeah.
So he called and he said, dude, I'm basically in charge. If you want this gig,
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah, he said, it's yours. And I mean, you can name your price pretty much, like whatever. So he's like, there's so much money behind this act. They're going to pour into this. Like, it's huge. So I went up there, man, to check it out, just kind of see what the thing was. And I was like, how can you say no deal? I mean, but that first, the rehearsals was one thing. And I knew it was big and the scope of things were big. There was, I don't know, man, like it was 12 or 13 semis parked out back with staging, lighting, PA. I mean, just everything. And that was really, I was like, okay, this is,
Yeah.
but the show, man, that first show, and that was at the time, which was in Atlanta, which was the Georgia Dome or whatever. That, I mean, you just walk in and look around at this, you're this big in this place, and you see him putting everything together, putting it all, and you're like, man, I like pretty soon I'm going to be driving that bus. You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a whole nother, I kind of got a little ill. I kind of got a little, and the other thing too is even before this gig, one of my favorite producers of all time is Mutt Lange.
Yes. Yes.
And that goes back to, you know, I mean, he did AC/DC.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the Cars, he did Def Leppard, he did Bryan Adams, he did
Yeah.
all that stuff I love. So the fact that he's the guy that did the record,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So yeah, that was just frightening, scariest thing ever, because he wasn't there all the time. He wasn't around a lot, but when he was just kind of behind you. And you're just like, I know I have to try to make that snare drum sound like his snare drum sounded on that record. And, I'm thinking about, this guy's got some of the biggest snare drums ever recorded, ever. It's scary, man. It was
Yeah.
scary. He didn't say a lot. I mean, I can't say he was a super cool dude, but I can't say he was like not cool either, because he really didn't. But it was business.
Yeah.
So I can remember looking back one time thinking I had dialed it in like if it was a part. I was like, yeah, man, that sounds good. That's good. And I kind of just glanced back behind me, and he's just kind of sitting there, and he's like, and he just kind of goes, "That's it." And I turned back around like, oh my God, I'm fired. That's it.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah, and back then there was a thing about, like, if you mess up, if they're going to cut you, like, they give you a bus ticket. you know, it's like you get a bus ticket home, see ya, here's your last paycheck, you're gone. We'll have somebody here tomorrow to take your place. And I just knew it. I was like, I just knew I'm going to get a bus ticket. That's it. I'm done. And I was sweating, just nervous, felt like I was going to throw up. I was just, it was horrible, man. I pulled it together, and I guess it was okay because I didn't get the bus ticket, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's another level that just, and after a while I was like, oh yeah, this is just, yeah, oh, we're going into, whatever stadium or whatever it was. But the first, couple of shows like that, it's like, it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Watch the trucks pull up like that and all this gear starts coming up and there's just people everywhere, and it's amazing how they set that up so fast and you're ready to go, and I had to adjust to the fact that I had like systems techs, systems engineers. So it was like a diva kind of. I just had to kind of walk behind and start mix, because they had guys that would tune the system and make sure it was right, and make sure everything was like it was supposed to be. And then I would just make suggestions like, can I get a little, like, this is a little harsh to me. And they would go and do it. Yeah, no problem. We'll get you. And
That's
take care of it.
amazing.
And so I didn't really know how to, that was kind of weird to me because I was kind of used to doing it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't have to do that anymore. And you just kind of walked into a giant room with a giant PA that was already kind of tuned up really, really well. And you just had to work, and
Yeah. So it was
yeah,
a blank canvas. It was just like whatever you want. Feel like painting with the sound. You're doing paint on a
yeah,
blank.
yeah.
Nice.
And those guys, man, hats off to systems tech, systems engineers. They're like unknown, unseen people that some people don't even know what that is. Those guys, I mean, they make a PA sound good in a giant dome.
Yeah.
It's, acoustically, they're horrible. These buildings are horrible.
Yeah.
The fact that they can get them to be somewhat, intelligible, or you can understand what they're singing and saying and whatever, is amazing to me. I tried to learn all I could from those guys, but they just haven't. It's amazing. Yeah.
Man. Well, so was that a digital system, or when did digital come in, where it was like, oh man, I'm not. It's not an analog board. It's an actual menus and
That started analog and had a rack of gear. So
yeah.
that was cool. But shortly after that, like the next stuff that I jumped onto and went on to, the digital stuff was coming in early parts of it. And you were kind of doing hybrids. You had the digital console, but you still had like your favorite reverbs and your
Nice.
favorite stuff out here. And then, they were like, well, there's some built in, like they're really good. You're like, I don't know. I really know this one really well,
Yeah.
and slowly you just kind of go all in.
Man.
But that was right there on that edge where it crossed over, like shortly after that, they went digital.
Man. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, digital stuff's, I mean, you know, if you did start in the analog days where you had racks of comps and EQs that were very, very specific, and then, turning around and saying, oh, okay, we're going to digital now. And now it's more like plugins, you know what I mean? So it's just like it keeps on, the
Yeah.
level keeps on going up. How do you stay really relevant with that stuff, and, and just kind of take it as it goes? How's that?
Yeah, man. I've always liked the technology stuff. So
Okay.
the the plugins started happening, and to me it was a lot like the whole guitar modeler thing.
Yeah.
When that first happened, I was like, no, no. And the same was with the plugin. I was like, there's no way that right there sounds anything like this, my big giant compressor over here. There's just no way. And early on, they weren't that
Yeah.
great. Technology, man, it works now. And now I love that I don't have to have 6 LA2As or 10 pull techs or whatever, because now I just click and it's even better because I can click one and throw it across 6 all at one time. It's like, man, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they do sound better. They do sound, you can now plug in something, and like I did this test the other day with a pull tech where I just inserted it on the channel. I didn't turn any knob. I didn't do anything. I just inserted it on the channel and turned it, the little on switch, just turned it on to the signal, and it actually colored the signal. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it's like, did you hear that? And the guy who was next to me was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, watch it. We turned it off and on again. I hadn't even turned the knob. It just does something to your the source, you know.
Man.
And so they're coming along, man. They're,
Yeah.
you know, uh I mean, to my ear, that was like, okay, I have messed with old school Pultec, which is one of my favorite EQs ever.
Yeah.
I have messed with those, the real, the original ones for years. And I know that you can plug something in and turn it on and go, man, that's what it's about right there. But when you can do it with a plug-in, now, then you couldn't do it before. There's still some of them out there. There's still some Pultec plugins that they don't do that, but there's
Yeah.
a couple of the ones now that are out now that, like, man, that's legit.
That's insane. Well, yeah, one of the things that you turned me on to was being able to do it live. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because like in a studio, everything's a little bit more lax, a little bit more easy. You can dial things in, but the fact that there's something processing live
Yeah.
just kind of blew my mind. And then I think you showed me that you guys are using the Universal Audio, the rack
Hmm.
unit, and
Yeah.
using it a lot, and it's
Yeah.
just keeping up, and it just keeps on pumping. That kind of
Yeah.
like shook me a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Yeah. They're game changers. I mean, and I'm even guilty of, there's a couple of times now, that probably two times or so, where I've had to go in and just, okay, I got carried away because I have them, and they're available and I can plug them in wherever and do them. The list of the chain starts growing, and after a while you're like, this isn't sounding right. And it's like, man, I went too far. There's no need to have all, I like, so I've had to just, let's clean it up. Let's start. Here's my signal, high pass. Okay, now I'm going to EQ, and then, but throw in all these, and UA doesn't have a lot of gimmicky stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that's kind of cool. That's helped a bunch. But I know some guys using the wave stuff, they make all kinds of things, and a lot of it's really cool. But like, I looked at one guy's kick drum chain, live kick drum channel, thing, and he had like 7 plugins on the kick drum, and I was like, why? What are you
yeah.
doing? Like,
Something's wrong with your source, right?
and I'm thinking, and I'm guilty. So I was like, that's why I was like, hey man, you don't have to do that. Like, get a good drum, get a good mic, let's tune it up, let's do things. You can EQ a little bit, compress it, and it's going to be money, you know.
Yeah,
But they have so many cool things and you start stacking them on there, and so that's one thing you have to be careful with, because I can get carried away with it. Next thing you know, is like, I mean, I lost all integrity of the you know what I mean, of what the source was. It's
yeah,
no longer. It's not even. It's in there somewhere, but I don't know. So, but yeah, the UA things, man. The fact that you can do it live, and they're working like really, really well.
yeah.
It's amazing that we've come there. But I knew guys were doing it early on, and I was like, oh, I don't know, man.
Well,
Yeah,
man,
but
that's
yeah, I'm using um I have 2 of the real time racks at front of house right now.
nice.
So it processes 32 channels that I can do with that. And then we just recently got one it's in the bag now to use on the live stream.
Oh, okay, nice, nice,
Try to process some live stream stuff.
nice, nice.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good stuff, man.
So we made our way through your live sound career or kind of journey, and now you're doing the studio stuff. Tell us about the studio stuff and
Yeah, you know what? And that happened. I mean, that's always been fun, because that's where I came from. So that's what I live kind of took over, and that's where I made my money, and that's what kept me busy. And when I got off the road and didn't know what I was going to do, the door opened, with a buddy of mine that was actually a pastor at this church, and he was like, "Hey man, we could use your skill. We could use what you do. Like, I think you'll like it. I think it's cool. We kind of right up your alley of what you like to do." And we checked it out. I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of fun. And you mean I can do this, and I don't have to live on a bus anymore?"
yeah,
And so it just, the door opened. It was perfect time for me, and so I jumped in. and I've been there ever since now. But it we started doing more content. I mean, social media is just, it's, it is what
Yeah.
it is, right? And so um, content is what they say. You got to put it out there. Well, they're no different. They want to put everything, and so we start. We do everything in house. So all videos are shot in house. All anything that's created, whatever it is, a video, a lyric. I mean, anything, graphics, everything. But if it has audio on it now, it goes through. So it goes through me, and I'll sit down and mix it. And we were doing television, so we were on national television for a long time. So I was taking weekend sermons. I was mixing them for 2 or 3 different TV stations. They all had different requirements. They wanted it at this level or that level or whatever.
Wow.
So I'd do a mix, and then I'd have to export out 3 different versions of different loudness levels, and to meet with their standards, whatever they wanted. But so I started. It was more studio stuff that I was doing the weekend live, and then during the week getting all that stuff, and then we were doing videos, and so we would record a video or voiceover or whatever, and take it in, record it, mix it, master it, kind of whatever, and then now with social media, it's like it's got to sound good, in the house. It's got to sound good on a pair of headphones, on a pair of earbuds, on your sound bar now, or your laptop, or now on your phone. People all the time are like, hey, check, listen to this. the worst speakers ever, on your phone. But you got to try to make it sound decent in that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's gone back to that. And when we went into quarantine, we closed the doors, but we kept doing services, and we basically transformed a live venue into a studio, like really basically overnight. And we decided, so now we're shooting all of the worship part of service. We're now shooting it as kind of like a music video, but the band was playing live. So we were recording, tracking like studio, but like the band is all playing together.
Man, no pressure, right?
Yes. So that was kind of cool. So we set up on stage, and we did some different stuff. And of course we did set it up to look more like, do some cool video, like small, short little music video kind of things. So we set up different lighting, and we had different camera angles and the whole deal. And, but we recorded, the band all at once. And, we were like, you got to make it good, man, because we're not going to go back and overdub anything. We're not going to go fix anything. So what we decided to do was to get different camera angles and things. We did them 2 times.
Okay.
So we did one where they got a lot of the close-up shots with the cameras, and then the second take was the outside shots, the wider shots, and those kind of angles. So they had two takes, and then we kind of let them have their, like, what was your better one?
Yeah.
1 or 2. And then we pieced it, together that way. But we didn't go back and do any like vocal or fix your guitar part or any of that stuff. It was like, we're going to, it's live, you get 2 shots, and, we'll Frankenstein it together, but it's going to be that way. And that, we would shoot it on one day, and, it was like 4 songs, shoot it one day, take it, mix it, and get it out. We would shoot on a Monday and have it ready to go, test it and everything by Thursday afternoon.
Nice.
So that we could, took forever to export these things from what
yeah.
So, and I'm not a video guy, but they were just saying we need it by Thursday so that we can upload it and make sure it's all good and it's ready to go on Saturday, because we're going to run it Saturday. So so that turned into studio engineer now, and shifting gears. And so that was cool, but that was challenging, because I started trying to mix it like I would live, and it's like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I literally had to come back and just pull back and go, okay, man, that's not how. And I tried to, then I just started listening to a lot of music. How is a studio recording done? Just because I had to, just refresh. I had to remember, so yeah, cleaning up kick drums, and they can't be like they are in a live venue, and they can't, and all this stuff. So yeah, man, it was challenging, but it was fun, and it got me back into it. and
Nice.
so, um, yeah, I mean that's really it was kind of, I mean, studio-ish,
Yeah.
still, but yeah, I mean, I tracked everything from front of house. Um, we just transformed, like I said, we used some different mics. Obviously, we
Nice.
used different, we tried to use as much studio technique as we could to capture it.
Yeah.
I still kind of tracked it and ran it through the console with some plugins and things like that, and then would bring it home and start to really clean it up and mix it down. Uh,
Man.
yeah, but that's cool. They were fun, and then as it got into it, I got to like, I'm gonna try to mix this one a little bit different, and I'm gonna go for that
Yeah.
real hi-fi pop stuff, and then this one I'm gonna mix this one a little bit more, a little grungier, a little dirtier,
Nice.
just a little more of a more natural, drier kind of a thing, and another one I would super like wet everything, yeah. So it was cool. Got to experiment a little bit, and they kind of let me have that freedom
That's
to
amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing.
They were like, if you think that song, kind of, I'm like, I mean, I'm kind of feeling this one like a top 40 kind of a trendy kind of a thing right now, and so it was cool because I would listen to some of that stuff to kind of get my ear,
Yeah.
set, and then try to create something like that, and so it was cool.
Man. So if
Yeah.
I can ask you, so some of the guys that are watching this are really interested in following in your footsteps. What's some advice that you would give somebody that wants to kind of follow your path in sound and maybe studio?
Um, I think, well, the first thing is, I say this all the time because I have this happens a lot, but first thing is, man, just um ask a lot of questions, and don't, whatever you do, man, don't think that you know it all. You
Nice.
know, don't think you know it all. Ask a ton of questions. Be teachable. Be humble about it, and it's okay to not know. It's okay to go to say, when you say threshold, or when you say attack, what does that mean? It's okay. You're not going to be an idiot because you ask that question. You're an idiot if you don't ask a question
Yeah.
and you think so, and just ask around. I did this too, and you're going to find both types of people, but just ask somebody, hey, do you mind if I tag along? Can I look over your shoulder? Can I sit with you at a session, or can I see what you're doing? And some guys are going to be like, yeah, dude, like, no problem, and others are going to be like, nope, I don't do that. And then that's cool. You just go, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. There's because I've run into that. I've asked a guy, a question before, and they just kind of, like, hey man, how's it going? I do what you do at a concert. Hey man, I mix a little bit. I just want to ask you about your vocal thing, whatever. And they just like, like, nah, man, I don't have time. You're like, oh, okay. And then, you know, I've I've asked that to a guy, and that said, yeah, and I opened the little gate and let me right up on the thing, and what did you want to know? And he literally will pull it up and show me everything in his chain, how he's
Mm.
got it set up, how he runs it, how he routes it. So ask, and because they'll show you. But I would say that, listen to a lot of music. Don't, not just one type, man. Like, listen to a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. Listen to Mutt Lang.
Yeah, I mean, those are, another one is Bob Clearmountain.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
He's probably my favorite engineer,
Yeah.
and
Okay. Yeah.
much probably my favorite producer. But yeah, but listen to a lot of music, ask questions, don't think you know it all, and ask, like, mentor, like somebody. If you want to get to where someone is, like, you need to, don't make a lateral move. Don't ask the guy that's in the class with you, because he's in the class probably for the same reason you are.
Yeah.
But ask the guy that's doing what you want to do, or ask the guy that's where you want to be at.
Yeah.
Ask, talk to them, and just ask 100 questions, man. Like, I've heard this. I mean, they say this all the time about make an ask of yourself. You know,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just I've done it, man. I've done it. I've complete, and And there's still to this day, like I've been doing this a lot of years, but there's still to this day where I'll learn something, yesterday. I was like, oh man, I gotta try that. Like
Nice.
either I didn't think of it or I just never, I never heard of it. And somebody out there, knows. And I'm always looking at stuff. I'm always listening, always trying to read or research. Just, so don't ever stop. Don't ever think I certainly don't know it all. I mean, trial and error, a lot of this stuff, get in there and turn
Yeah.
some knobs and find out what it is. But yeah, I would, those are the big things, man, is really I think I've had guys that I think have potential,
Mm-hmm.
but they jump ahead.
Mm.
They already want to. I mean, they're hungry. I get it,
Yeah.
but they aren't really there yet, and they think they are, and that holds them, that hurts them. You know what I mean? Kind of keeps
Yeah.
them down. So yeah, I think just you can't you can't be there. I mean, if that guy, like I told one guy, I was like, man, dude, I've been doing this 30 something years. There's no way. Like I didn't know how to do this in my fifth year of, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no clue. I didn't learn this until way later on. So it's okay. It's okay to
Yeah.
be there and not, it's cool. And just ask and keep doing it. You'll get better. I
Yeah.
feel like I'll go back and during the quarantine, I'll listen to my the mixes that we did, for online stuff. And the first one, it's funny. I think the first one I hear it, I'm like, and then you get 3-4 weeks in, I'm like, oh man, like I can hear where I started to
Nice.
I figured it out, and they were
Nice.
good. And then towards the end, I can kind of go like, I think I was a little tired of it. There's some in there where I was like, I thought that sounded good, but I was done, man. It was too, because it was happening every week, every week, every week.
Yeah.
There was no break at all. And I think I got burnt on that because that was intense,
Yeah.
but
I can imagine.
I can hear that in there too. So you'll get better, you know what I mean? The more you do it. And I mean, I can go listen old mixes from last year, the live mixes that we did. And then, I can listen to last weekends and go like, wow, man, at that time I thought that was it. And now I'm like, man, I can't believe that my bass guitar sounded like that where it is today. So yeah, just, keep at it, man.
Man, that's all good stuff, dude. All good stuff.
Oh,
Let me get back just one quick
yeah.
second for guitar because I know you're building pedals and I heard you're building amps. How did that come about?
Yeah. That's just a tinkering thing, man.
Nice.
I always wanted to, for a short time in Austin, I worked at a music store there in the rental department.
Okay.
And typically the rental department was pretty dead until like Friday. And, Friday, Saturday, you're super busy. Everybody's renting gear. And on Monday, it all came back. But then between like Tuesday and Thursday, there's not much going on. So
Yeah.
I hung out with the techs in the back that were repairing amps and repairing whatever. And the cool thing is that, like, this is Austin, right? So like, Eric Johnson amps are coming in to get
Nice.
maintenance, and Grissom's amps are coming in to get maintenance, and Ian Moore's stuff is coming in, and
Ooh.
yeah, and these guys they're coming in and they're dropping off stuff to get fixed, and then when they pick it up, they plug it in and they jam on it a little bit to see like, yeah, it's good, I like it. So just getting to be around those guys, and there was a guy there that was building little amps and little pedals and doing stuff like that, and he did a couple things for me. I was like, man, I'd really love for something like this. He was like, oh, we can build that. And so I got to sit in while he did it,
Nice.
kind of, yeah. And so kind of learned. And then I kind of picked it up like that, just, a little bit of time from him. He taught me a bunch. And then, yeah, so I tried some small pedal circuits, and then, got a little fancier. And then I thought I'm gonna give it a shot at an amp, and I just researched it a bunch, and I already
Nice.
kind of had some background from this guy, where I learned from him.
What was
He,
his name? I'm curious.
his name was Bill Ussery.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And he had a company for a while there called the Austin Tone Lab.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And he built a couple high priced, like $4,000 or $5,000 amplifier, I don't know how many he sold, but he made a few. They were killer. They were amazing amps. and he did some small pedal stuff for guys like, like Charlie Sexton's one guy. He
Yes.
did some stuff for Charlie Sexton. He did some, and he worked with Grissom a lot and some of those guys. But that's kind of where I learned it from.
Nice.
And so I made just a small, 15 watt AC 15-ish thing, and then a 30, kind
Nice.
of same. It was a lot, man. And I was like, that's just too much. I'm not. So I made one other matchless style amp for another guy, and that's probably about it, and I made a couple pedals for some people, and just but that too was time consuming, and
Yeah.
it took a lot of just a lot of, I mean, that hand point to point hand soldering stuff, it's, and the first one, man, the first amp 15 watt that I did, got it finished, plugged it in, turned it on, and it caught fire.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we shut that off, got it under control, and I called Bill and I said, "Hey man, um, dude, I did this and it caught fire." And he was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, man, I turned it on, it caught fire." And he was like, "Well, what did you do?" And I was like, I did exactly what you told me to do. He says, "Well, you didn't do what I told you to do, because my amps don't catch on fire, bro."
That's
So,
funny.
yeah, I was like, okay, all right. So yeah, we figured out what it was, and just my mistake, but made it work, and I still have the first two that I did, still have them. I've used them. I think they sound good. I think they sound
Yeah.
cool. And pedals, like I said, I got a couple. Some of them, the first ones I built, I still have. And in fact, the other day I went back to one or two of them, and I was like, yeah, that's not bad. I mean, it's,
Nice.
kind of pretty cool. So, yeah, I still kind of jam on those. And I built a couple of others for some people. I probably sold more pedals than I have amps for sure, but
Nice.
it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and tedious stuff. And I ended up like not really having the time for it. And, but it was something, at one point I thought, hey man, this might be a thing. But I talked to some other pedal guy makers, and they were like, this is a lot of, like, you got
Yeah.
to really, really be. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Well, dude, that's a great segue because we have this segment called "What's in the Box," and
Nice.
so we put something in a box and we get the artist's take on it. So I picked this specifically because I was like, if there's anyone that needs to have a platform to talk about this, it'll be Mike. So what I put in the box was it's not it's a clonish. It is supposedly a clon,
Okay.
but low gain overdrive. Talk to
Right.
us about your feelings on low gain overdrive, or maybe even the clon, or the golden circuits that
Yeah.
everybody's looking for. What's your take on it?
So, I, I'm not a big, well, I can't say that though, because just last night I probably played about 30 minutes on a high gain pedal.
Okay, nice.
Just say I'm not really a high gain guy. I'm low gain is what,
Yeah.
but last night, so I'm lying. Uh, but I don't do that all the time. So I typically like I like overdrive, low
Yeah.
gain,
Yeah.
medium gain versus distortion.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I know fuzz is real trendy or popular or whatever. I'm not really a fuzz guy.
Nice.
If I am, it's more of that EJ fuzz
Yes.
or Gilmore, that it's a little more mellow. It's a little more,
Yeah.
not that spitty, aggressive kind of, I don't like that stuff, but, um, I, I like them. I like the low gain stuff. The Klon, man, there's some when I listen to it, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get what the thing is, of it.
Yeah.
I've never got to play through a real one.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and,
Yeah.
and
Me
so,
either.
yeah. And so maybe there's a different thing there, but the ones that like, I have a Tumnus
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
that's
Wampler.
supposed to be,
Wampler.
yeah, Wampler, that's supposed to be, kind of a cloning kind of thing. Um, and it's, it's pretty cool. And, you can, I mean, I can get quite a bit of gain, not a lot of gain out of it, but, it's kind of a cool pedal. I
Nice.
like, I I've had, what else did I have? I've had a couple that were supposed to be like, and I even made an attempt to try to make one.
Yeah.
There was just something I always wanted to put more low end in it.
Okay. Yeah.
I just, I feel like I just wanted I'd like a little more meat on my guitar. I felt like the Klon takes it out.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, but then again, I haven't played a real one, so I don't know, you know?
So, what's it about the low gain sound? Like, is it just articulation? What are you looking for when? What's your perfect low gain?
Yeah, because I like it because it's still, I mean, I like gain, but I don't, it's not, I don't know. I just, when you have too much, man, I just think it gets lost. I just think you lose some of the detail.
Nice.
And I guess if you're just chugging along, you're playing some chords, all that harmonic stuff is cool. And I mean, I think so, but I kind of gravitate towards lines.
Okay. Yeah.
Than, you know what I mean? Or like if you're playing a chord, I want to hear everything clearly, I want
Yeah.
to ring out. So I tend to go more towards the medium lower gain
Yeah.
stuff. But like I said, I mean, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, that's not. I I plugged into one of the little 5150s little lunchbox things, whatever.
Yeah.
I forget which channel it was, but I'm like, what do I do with all this game? I didn't know what to do with it all. And that's how he plays. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like it, but for me myself, if I plug into something I'm typically going to be in that mid range, low to mid kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I would love to play through a Klon one day, though, man. Like just
Yeah.
see what it's all about,
What's the deal with them?
And there's a lot of. I mean, like I don't. There's a lot of clones, that apparently people say are really really good.
Yeah.
I had the Archer.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't remember who makes that, but
That's
yeah, I remember that.
the J Rocket.
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah, yeah. Jig Rocket
yeah,
Designs.
they have two. They have like a silver and a gold.
Mm-hmm.
I had the silver one, and again, I was like, okay, it's kind of cool, but I'm missing something. That
Yeah.
it's just preference. I think they're probably stacked pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, does yours have low end?
It does. So there's a cool story. I don't know if you heard Mythos pedals.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so Zach made this for me when he was like not no company. This
yeah.
was like the number two, and he was like, "Listen, man, I
Cool.
stole the circuit," and he's like, "I did exactly what it is." And so when Bill started making the version two, he was like, "I'm stopping because I feel bad just completely ripping it off."
Yeah,
So he didn't make this one anymore after that, and then he kind of tweaked it and made his own thing, after a while.
yeah.
But I don't know, like it's pretty bassy for me, and like so much, you gotta kind of work with it depending on your rig. But we'll have to get together and check it out because
Yeah.
I want to hear your
Well,
take on it.
there was one that was like super cheap a couple years ago. It came out. It was like from the Tone Bakery or something like that. And
Okay.
it was called the creme brulee or I don't know something.
Yeah, I remember
Just
that.
you know,
It was a white pedal.
yeah, it was three knobs and
Yeah.
it's like their thing said this was like sounded like a Klon, but they said something about think they said they even mentioned they said think Klon with meets David Grissom,
Uh,
and that's what caught my ear because
yeah.
I'm a huge Grissom fan, and they said it has just a little more oomph in it where
Nice.
you need the thing, and I was like that's it, that's what the other and they were like $99 and I got one, and out of all the ones I've had, I do kind of like it, and I don't have a bunch of them. I do kind of like it the best.
Nice.
I felt like that. I felt like the thump, the low end that it does have, it was in that right spot that I kind of like it, or I prefer it to be.
Yeah.
Where like the the tumness that I have, it's got a control. I mean, because I have the deluxe, it's got 3-band EQ,
Oh, okay, okay,
so you can
okay.
kind of make it sound like anything,
Yeah.
really. But the low end of it is a little more subby. It's a little lower, which that I don't really, I'm not into. I don't like that part. I like it a little, I don't know, lower mid maybe is
Lower
what
mid. Okay, okay.
versus the, the deeper low.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the bass control on that tumnus that I have, I feel like it's a little more like Fender, like blackface ish,
Okay, okay, okay. A
kind of like
little,
that.
almost
Yeah.
gets flubby, almost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I feel like. So, yeah, but one day, man, I'm gonna have to try one. Somebody.
we'll we'll find one somewhere. Speaking of, when you pick up a guitar, what's the first riff you play to know whether that guitar has it or not?
Uh,
I like to ask people that question.
man, the first thing I do is I pick it up and I think I play a G.
Nice.
I just want to hear everything ring and feel it and kind of see what it does. Um, but then there's I don't know. I always go to this little hybrid picking thing. It's a I forget which. It's a Grissom song. I forget the name of it, but I always play that riff. Just to,
Nice.
you know, I don't remember it. I
We'll
play it.
link it down in the description.
I play it all the time.
Man. Well, is
But
there any?
I'll typically go to those two, and then at some point in there, I'll play an Andy Summers riff
Yes.
or a U2 thing because those are I still always for some reason gravitate towards those. I don't know what it is. That's where that's my favorite stuff.
Do you like chorus?
Yeah,
What's your favorite chorus?
yeah,
Because you mentioned those two, and I'm like, well, they use a lot of chorus. I love chorus. I gotta know what his favorite is.
yeah. So here this is cool. So my favorite one of all time is the old TC, the big black square one,
Yes.
the chorus flanger.
Yes.
I forget the model number of it. That's my favorite all time.
Yeah, it's the AC plug, right? Because
Yeah,
yes, that yeah, I remember those.
yeah, I love that one. And then you know what's cool? I love the MXR, the micro chorus, man. One
Nice.
knob, just one knob, and it'll get like real, like almost vibrato-ish,
Nice.
tremolo-ish kind of if you crank it, and then but it's got a really, it's got a cool chorus. I mean, just one knob. Um, and then the Andy Summers thing actually is Electric Mistress,
Ooh,
which is actually
that's crazy.
which is a flanger, yeah.
Huh.
But that one, if you take that, and I have, in fact, it's here somewhere. I have a get it. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that one. Um, yeah, if you take that, hit the controls just right. I mean, it is. You go play police all day long.
I'm gonna have to try
And I,
that.
yeah, I came across that one time. I actually one of the times that I saw them, I just was able to, I'm poking around, and I went down there and just kind of looked over on there wasn't much on the board there, but it was Electric Mistress.
Man, that's
And
amazing.
and then I did a little research. This was like actually he's using a flanger, he's not using a chorus pedal.
That
And
is crazy.
so I picked one up and plugged it in. I was like, that's it. It's like, oh, perfect.
Dude, I feel like chorus is such a secret weapon because I
Yeah.
watched a rig rundown with Bonamassa,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What's up with that? There's a chorus pedal back there," and he's like, yeah."
Yeah.
There's a little subtle chorusing going on with even with his he has Tweed, uh, low power twins,
Yeah.
and it's just like, yeah, just put a little in there, and he's like, you'll never notice it unless you turn it off,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh man.
I know. Yeah. There, I mean, the 80s was kind of full of that stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I prefer that over like, phasers or
Oh yeah, yeah,
I know a lot of guys use the phase on solos, but Brian May uses it, Eddie Van Halen, I mean,
yeah.
they got a phase on all their solo stuff, but yeah, I kind of gravitated towards the chorus. And then like I said, when I found that the mistress,
That's
man,
it.
yeah, it's cool. And then there's, now I think, well, you know what? Strymon makes a flanger pedal.
Is it the Ola?
Um,
Maybe it's the Ola. It's a blue
maybe,
one.
maybe that might be it. They make one and it's got a setting on it. You click the switch and it's that Andy Summers-ish kind of. They won't tell you that, but the minute you hit the switch and go, you're like, oh yeah, there it is. And it's a like a bucket brigade
Oh, nice,
type
nice.
flanger, so which is like the Electric Mistress. So yeah,
That's
it also
insane.
has all those other wacky flanger sounds in it, but that one setting really is like, oh, that would be my chorus pedal if I if I
Man, you
yeah
know, My secret weapon, and you need to check it out. Speaking because we're getting real geeky, but you got to check out Deco. I You will love it.
Yeah, man. You know what? I have a dig.
Oh, I love the dig.
Yeah, because I was like, I need a digital delay. I grew up on rack mount digital delays.
Yeah.
I still have them. They're in my garage. I still have 2290s. I still have,
Uh,
yeah, I still have some SDE 3000s. I still have, I mean, some Lexicon PCM 42s. I still have all these digital delays, and I'm like, I need a digital delay pedal. And that one is like 2-in-1. You get
yeah.
two, yeah, and I love the whole, double delay thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I got the dig, and I'm like, man, it is killer. So I got my digital in there, and then I've got my analogs in there too.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Dude, well,
'cause
dude.
I'm a delay freak. I collect delay. I have so many delays. It's really actually kind of bad. I don't think because I should learn to play without one, but it's like I always have one on, and it's
What's your
that,
favorite delay of the last couple years? Because there have been so many that come out, but
yeah.
very few that are like just, you know what I mean? What's your favorite one?
Um, man, um, man, um, I have I mean, I still use my Nova delay a lot,
Nice. Yeah.
actually. Which is not super fancy. I never owned a timeline. I know they're
Yeah.
super popular, but I never owned a timeline. I did have the Eventide, the time factor,
Yeah. Those are cool.
and it was cool. But I like the carbon copy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And I have the Echoplex, the pedal, the Dunlop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool. You know what? Now that you said it, I kind of one of my favorite ones was the Alter Ego, the
Oh,
TC,
yeah. Yeah. TC Electronics.
just because it has all those old school delays in it.
Yes.
And when I when I would check it against like the Deluxe Memory Man, right? I have which I have a Deluxe Memory Man like this size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would play that and then play the one on the Alter Ego, and they were super close. Like it was so close. And then same thing with like the Space Echo, same thing with their Echoplexes or whatever. And so I was like, man, this has them all in one, and the modeling on it was really really good. So
Nice.
except it's like it's this big though.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I had the
Usually,
small one, but the big one had presets.
yeah.
But it's so big, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, my
It,
my I'm I would love to throw. I have the dig. I would love to have the the cap, the L cap,
yeah.
and then I would love the Brigadier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of memory manish.
Dude, check out the Volante. I ditched the timeline for the Volante.
Really?
Yeah, even though it doesn't have a screen,
Okay.
it's way more straightforward,
Yeah.
but it's cool, dude. It's kind of like on the Benson Echo Rec. That
Okay.
was their kind of like vibe,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they sell it as a L cap on steroids. So I was
Okay.
like, the timeline's too much. L
Uh,
cap's not enough.
yeah.
Try the Volante.
I don't. That's the only one I think I don't have, man. I don't have an Echo Rec.
Oh man, that would be crazy.
I managed to have almost like name a delay. I think I have it. It's
That's
that
insane.
somewhere, yeah, but I have not been able to get an Echo Rec. And the ones I found were there. I was just like, man, I can't spend that money. You know? So yeah, I got a couple of Echoplexes like the EP3s, the tape.
Yeah,
A couple of those they just weren't working, and I know a guy that fixes them, so I got them cheap, and I just had him fix them.
that's
But
insane.
I haven't been able to find a deal on an Echo Rec yet.
I'm not sure if they will come around, man. Those things are like, I saw one the other day where it's like 3 grand, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
my god! And it was on Craigslist. It wasn't even on like
yeah,
Reverb. It was just on Craigslist in Houston. And I was like,
yeah.
wow, somebody's
If
got this just laying around.
if I if I was playing, I maybe could, but it sits in a corner of my room, and I occasionally get to play guitar. I don't play too much anymore, man. It's all faders now for me.
Yeah,
But yeah, if I was playing, and every once in a while I think it'd be fun to do it again, but I don't know. But if I was playing, I might would just drop the money on one, but I don't know.
Get it? Well, dude, is there anything that we haven't gone over that you'd like to share with
Man,
the audience?
no, I was just, this was cool, man. I just was, I didn't know what to expect. So, but no, I mean, this is cool, man. I like, thanks for, asking me to do it. It's, cool.
Well, man, we appreciate you. Before we go, what high school did you go to?
I went to school in Portland.
Oh, okay, Portland.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
I'm a,
Okay,
I'm a GPer.
we're sticking with this coastal bend thing. Like, before we reach out, even if we do
Yeah.
reach out, like, I want the people of the coastal bend to know that there are monsters among
Yeah.
us. You
Oh,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
No,
And
and that's when, like, when I was telling you that battle of the bands we won back, when we started talking, I mean, we were just four guys from Portland,
yeah,
and we came over here and nobody knew us. I didn't know who we were. And like, I was just like a punk, man. I was 14-year-old, just freshman, I think, in high school, or Matt and I hadn't even been in high school yet, on my way to high school. And we played 4 songs with these other bands from Corpus that I think everybody knew, because people were there to see them,
yeah,
and I was blown away that we won, but
that's amazing.
that it was like, and nobody knew who they were. Like, yeah, where are you guys from? Like, we're Portland.
Right over there, across the bridge.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's cool. And it was kind of funny, man. Portland had a lot of musicians in it for being what it was
Yeah,
back in that day. There was, there's some bands, man. There was 2 or 3 bands that and we played a lot around here, I mean, locally, at all the places you'd play, all the sea sculptures gigs,
yes.
and I mean, we closed out Bayfest probably 4 or 5 years,
Oh man,
you
Miss
know.
Bayfest, dude.
Yeah.
It was
And
such a good thing.
yeah, well, I mean, we shut that down probably 4 or 5 years. We're like one of the last acts and on the big stage back in the day. It
Nice.
was, so yeah. We've got some players in around here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Well, we're trying to expose people to that, man.
yeah,
But we gotta get you back for season 2, because hopefully after this whole pandemic's over, we're gonna do sit downs. So when
yeah.
we do sit downs, we'll find a Klon, and we'll find a Benson, and we'll get it.
That'd be cool. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being part of this, dude. I appreciate you. I really, really do, man.
Uh,
And we'll catch you real soon.
yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Guys, thanks for watching. That was Mike Pena. Check him out. Oh, where can people find you? Can people follow you on Facebook or Instagram?
I mean, yeah, Facebook, Instagram. I don't have a website or anything like that.
Okay.
But
So,
yeah,
what's your Instagram? Is it just Mike Pena?
it is, what is it? It's Mike. I don't even know, man. I think it's, Mike Pena Rocks. Back
Nice.
back on the when I used to rock.
Well, we'll put the link in the
I don't
description for
rock
sure.
anymore, but yeah. Yeah, and then I mean, Facebook, I'm always on there, saying wacky stuff and making people mad.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, check out Mike Pena. He's a great guy.
thanks, man. I'm always on there ruffling feathers. So,
It's okay. It's okay, man. We appreciate you.
but always on those pages though, like, that's one thing I like. If somebody's got, I mean, if I can help anybody any way, in guitar, in sound, in audio, whatever, I love teaching whatever I know.
Nice.
At some point, you got to pass this stuff on, and I don't know everything, but what I do know, man, I'm always willing to, share with whoever. So, and they can always reach out on those places. And, I try to help out all the time, with people with guitar stuff, or with, PAs or recording stuff, whatever. So
Yeah.
I love doing that stuff, man. So I'm open.
Nice, man. Get that open door, guys. Check him out, Mike Pena. Thanks so much for being here, man. I
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
it. We'll
Appreciate it.
catch you next week on the Bandemic podcast.